I think the major highlight is the increase in the percentage of new appointments going to women. When we look back 2 years, which is when Lord Davis's report came out in February of 2011, we only had 12.5% women on the top 100 boards in the UK, and that's up to 17.3%. So that has to be the big headline. But behind that, I think there is some disappointment in that we at Cranfield measure the increase in the number of appointments going to women every 6 months, and it had really reached a fantastic peak 6 months ago of 44% of new appointments going to women in FTSE 100. And even in FTSE 250, where there isn't a target, 36% were. And I think what Ruth and I are really worried about at Cranfield is in the last 6 months, that has fallen from 44% to 26%. And it's just remembering we need to have a third of new appointments going to women in order to meet that target of 25% by 2015. Well, again, this year, we're very pleased to be able to say that the majority of the new women appointed to FTSE 100 boards, 2/3 of them, have not got FTSE 350 experience. So that to us indicates that search consultants and chairmen are looking outside of the usual women who get appointed to boards. The disappointment, though, again, is that they're just looking in the corporate mainstream. And I think it is reminding ourselves that in Lord Davis's report, he did actually say we must look outside the corporate mainstream and look at women who are actually in the public sector, the voluntary sector and other areas. And clearly we're not doing that.
This year we returned our focus to the FTSE 100 executive committees, having a look at what the numbers were like, where the women were coming from, etc. Disappointingly, the figures have gone down since the last time we looked at executive committees in 2009. There are 18% of women on executive committees then, there's only about 15% now. 79 of the 100 companies have women on their executive committees. But interestingly, one of the things we looked at was how did those women get that position? What was their career path to that position? And we found that 48% of women in executive committees have been promoted internally to that role. But when we looked at a matched random sample for men, we found that 62% of men had been promoted internally. And there's a statistical significant difference between those two figures, which would suggest that companies are not managing their female talent, and that if women want to get to that level, they have to leave their current organisation and go and find a role elsewhere. Well, as we've mentioned, we're slightly disappointed at the fall recently in the number of appointments going to women. If we are going to hit the Lord Davis target of 25% by 2015, we need to regain that momentum of a third of all new appointments going to women. At present, if we can do that, then we will hit that target. The other thing we've done is look at the EU targets, which are set for 2020, and for unitary boards, which is what we have in the UK, the target is for 1/3 of all positions to be held by women. Again, if we regain the previous momentum of 1/3 of all positions going to women, then we will hit that target both in the FTSE 100 and the FTSE 250. However, the EU targets look at a broader spread of organisations. It's slightly unclear as to which companies exactly are going to be covered by it, but we suspect that there'll probably be an additional 400 or so companies in the UK that will fall under that target. And at the moment, they're on the smaller listings and they only hold about 8% of women on board. So there's a lot of work to be done for those organisations.